This week in gaming, Sony might raise the price of PS5s. Kojima has a crazy new game mechanic in the works, and the Switch 2 has revealed some specs, most of the specs, and we've got a first look at Kingdom Hearts 4, which is kind of crazy, Derek.
Yeah.
This is the NerdCave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. How's it going, my man?
It's going pretty well, man. Been a busy week. You know, we celebrated Mother's Day on Saturday because I had to work on Sunday. And then it's just been crazy. I had to do an overnight last night into this morning, and then I'm doing another overnight tonight into tomorrow morning because they're doing a Wi-Fi installation, new Wi-Fi installation in the store. So it's a 2-day process. So that's why I'm having to bite that bullet. But I'm off after I work tomorrow through tomorrow morning, and then I'm off till Sunday.
Well, I'm glad you will get some time off, dude, because working, 9 to 5 plus, 12 more,
I was about to say, that's cute that you think I would just work 9 to 5.
I was referencing the hit song by the Queen
Parton.
Dolly, But guys, hope everyone is doing well. Let us know how you are down in the comments below. Howdy, Nate. Hello, Amy. We hope everyone is doing well. We've got a great show for you tonight, and we're going to jump into our first section. What you playing? And Derek he's kind of alluded. He's been a busy boy this week. He's been a very busy boy this week, so he has not had the chance to jump into it and everything. But for myself, I have been playing a bunch of different things. Tuesday night we had to cancel the stream because someone had ran into a pole, knocked down the power, and the power got up before I got home, thankfully. But the internet, it wasn't until 10 o'clock before the internet got up. So it was just all right, cool.
Thankfully you picked up the reading hobby, so that way you don't have to just sit there in darkness and be like, what do we do?
Well, thankfully I had already downloaded some games and everything. So I jumped into Indiana Jones and the Great Circle again, and I finished up the Egypt section, and I finished up another section that we saw in the trailers and everything, where they're in the snow on the ship and all of that, fighting the Nazis. So, dude, I'm enjoying the game. It was good to get back in there. I kind of feel like it's just one of those games where everything will go wrong, but I kind of feel like that is Indiana Jones. It's
oh yeah,
but you're gonna put your way out of that.
I was gonna say you find dig yourself out of the hole. That's like the core of Indiana Jones. If you watch the original trilogy, that's just how it is.
Yeah, so it was just okay. So people would turn around when I'm about to club them in the head, and then I'd have to take them out or whatever. But enjoying the game. And then I did play, of course, I played some solo leveling Arise, working my way on that. But I did play more of Clear Obscura Expedition 33, which, guys, this game is amazing. You need to go play it. You need to go check it out. You need to go have fun with it, because since Sea of Stars, I'm more open to turn-based, but it doesn't feel turn-basedy. You feel like you're part of it because you can dodge, you can parry some attacks, you can jump over them and everything. So it's way more interactive. And what was cool is I've started facing some newer enemies, and you can target their weak spots and literally take out one of their limbs or a weapon that they're using and everything. So it makes it a lot more tactical, and you have so many shots that you can use and all of this. So I'm really loving the game. The story is great. It's definitely a harder game. But sometimes you get knocked down, you got to get back up and you try it again, and you figure out a different way to go after the thing and everything. So I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. And then I did just literally, I played maybe 5 minutes of Doom the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
I shot a few demons, and that was really about it. The game looks great. The intro was really cool, and the way they're setting everything up, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome game. And we already got some metal going, so already bashing demons with my shield and everything. So can't wait to see where the game
grinding them up, because you had the shield saw.
Well, I haven't really gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
It's like you can charge them like Captain America, and like
okay.
it's just a spray of demon debris. So yeah, but that's kind of where everything's been, what I've been playing and everything. And then Derek, I have to admit this. I got into the show Suits.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've been watching Suits like nobody's business.
I mean, it's been picking up steam since it's got the whole show's on Netflix now. So
yeah, and dude, it's so good. It's a great show. Y'all should go watch Suits. Just saying. Just saying. It's good. You like a good it's a good mix. Like there's comedy, there's drama, there's politics and all that good stuff. But yeah, I had to admit that I'm watching Suits.
Okay, well, good for you.
Yeah.
Because it kind of just because I've been on the fence about watching it as well, mainly because I wanted to watch the LA spinoff because there's my boy Stephen Amell in it, but they canceled it after one season, so I'm just like, maybe not. Maybe I'll keep that on the back burner. But getting back to the games, I have a question for you, Zach. Do you think now? Yes, we know Ghost of Yote presumably is October for right now, and tentatively unless it gets delayed. Hopefully it doesn't. But so obviously it's a game we're all excited for. But since December, Xbox has been getting really good headway. With Indiana Jones being as great as it's been. I know Avowed's been a mixed bag, but overall, like the reception has been positive. Like it's been a solid B+ title. South of Midnight has been really good, and so far, like early reviews, like I know you're like barely even into Dark
just
Ages
dip at
yet.
The toe.
Yeah, but like IGN gave it a 9. Like it's been getting all good reviews. If Doom lives up to like said hype, I know it's just we're 5 months into the year and they've had 4 games like seemingly almost back to back almost what it feels like. Do you think that even though Ghost of Yote comes out and it will be a phenomenal game, do you think Xbox will still have a better overall solid year? Obviously, we still have the rest of the year to go. We don't know what else they have planned. We know some things, but not everything. Do you think Xbox has a chance to be a better overall, have a better overall year than Sony?
I think so, because you could put out one game, but that doesn't feed you the whole time. You know what I mean? Even like
it can be better than all 4 of those games put together, but still.
Yeah, and if you only get October through December, that's not that long. Of course, I will be playing it for a very, very long time. I'm on, the juice will definitely be worth the squeeze. But when you look at like Xbox side of things, they're cooking, and it's not necessarily these big massive titles. Like Doom is a bigger title and everything, but you get Oblivion, you get South of Midnight, Claire Obscura.
I forgot about Oblivion remastered. So
then you get Doom, and it's just like one thing after another. And literally Oblivion came out like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And it's 3, it would have been 3 weeks. And now we're getting Doom, and Claire Obscura was the same time as Oblivion. And then a few weeks before that was South of Midnight. And it's just like they're finally cooking over there. Again, it's not Gears of War, it's not Halo, it's not the big, but it's like sometimes you've got to go outside the big to really build something that people want to come and play. So I think Xbox is going to have a better year than PlayStation. I think they'll have a better year than Switch as well. In regards of, just games, because the Switch 2 is coming out. They will see a big boon on that, but there's not a lot of games that are coming to it that aren't on the Switch 1. Of course, the new Mario Kart is, but dude, I'm looking forward to seeing what else I know they're going to be coming out with more stuff. They're not just going to stack it heavy in the beginning and then
right. And I mean, like August, we're getting Gears of War Reloaded. I know it's a
Mhm.
remake of a remaster of one again, but still, it's more Gears of War, and it's a wet our palate again until E-Day comes around.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to E-Day and Reloaded. Like, yeah, will I check it out? Probably. It'll be on Game Pass. It'll be something
Yeah.
to play and everything. But dude, like it's just one thing after another. And we had Avowed not that long ago. That was
Yeah.
this year as well.
Yeah, that was February.
Yeah, which I think you mentioned that. And my brain
Yeah.
kind of farted on there. But dude, it's just been one thing after another. I wonder if Obsidian is like, why did you have to put Oblivion out?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why did you have to put Oblivion out right
Are we a
now?
joke to you?
Yeah. Amy's Derek being shaded. Well, good for you. Good for you talking about suits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach, the lighting is on point. So let me break down the lighting for y'all real quick.
Oh God, here we go. Amy, why did you do this?
Let me break it down for you guys. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the share, hit all of those good things so more people get to watch the show and enjoy it. Derek, are you ready to get into this?
Yes, sir. Let's dive into this.
All right, first gaming discussion topic of the week. Switch 2 final specs have been revealed by tech experts. Big chunk of resources unavailable to games.
So the Switch 2 is launching on June 5th and introduces a significant new feature called Game Chat, designed to enhance social interaction during gameplay. Game Chat allows up to 12 users to engage in voice chats, share screens, and participate in video calls using an optional USB-C camera. This feature is seamlessly integrated into the system via the new C button on the right Joy-Con 2 controller, enabling a quick access without interrupting gameplay. From a technical standpoint, Game Chat is built to minimize its impact on system performance. The Switch 2 is powered by a custom NVIDIA Tegra T239 processor and 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, with 3 gigabytes reserved for system functions. Developers have access to tools that emulate potential latencies and cache issues, ensuring that Game Chat operates smoothly alongside games. Initially, Game Chat will be available to all users without a Switch Online membership until March 31st of next year. After this period, an active subscription will be required to use this feature. Overall, Game Chat represents Nintendo's efforts to provide a more connected and interactive gaming experience, integrating communication tools directly into the console's ecosystem. So it looks the NVIDIA Tegra, that was rumored for the long time about they're going to have some NVIDIA chip, but they weren't talking about it. So we finally get shed some light on that. Of course, the C button is, making a comeback, but also going to be used as more of like the options button on PlayStation. You know what I mean? And the 12 gigabytes of RAM and is good to see with the latency issues. The Game Chat, it's interesting, with a Switch without a Switch Online membership, and they're giving you an ample amount of time partly because, and we'll get into it later, with these tariffs on the horizon, they know everything's going to go up. So it's like, let's give you a break on something, but we're only going to give you like a 9-month period before you have to get a Switch Online membership.
I feel like it's more of like a dealer. It's like you get the first taste is free, and then once you're hooked, that's when they're like, okay, now it's time to pay the piper. Just like a free trial of Netflix or any other subscription service. But at the thing here with this is, how many people are actually going to have a Switch at launch? How many are there? I know like all the hardcore Switch people that I know aren't getting one at launch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they're like, yeah, I'm waiting until there's more games. And I totally respect that, because
that's fair.
There's not a lot going on there, especially at launch.
And that's with any game console lineup. I mean, PlayStation, it had a little bit more, like PlayStation 5 had a little bit more than usual, but still it was bare bones. Xbox, the same deal. Switch One, outside of Breath of the Wild, what was there, to be fair with
Mario
you? So,
Odyssey.
I mean, but that was later that was fall. You know what I mean? Like at launch, like getting a console day one, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
So, but yes, there Switch had a longer launch window lineup than in years past, but like a lot of game systems do come out to bare bones game releases. It's a lot of, especially since the PS4, Xbox One era, they've been they're just now doing the thing, which rightfully so, because the more demanding game development is and the bigger budgets that there are, they need more time to do it. So they rely on ports, remasters, remakes. So I get it.
Yeah, I get it as well, but it's just that thing where when you look at a system when it's launching and their price tag is that much, it's like I would like to have some other stuff on there. You
Yeah.
know, I'd like to be able to play a little bit more than just Mario Kart,
Right.
or wait, a month or two to get Donkey Kong, which will be a cool game to see on there. But I don't know. It's seeing this, it's like, okay, yeah, the system is using up a good chunk of it for the game side of it, but why can't we tap into the rest of it? You know what I mean? To really push things instead of like capping it because we want this game chat to take off and everything.
Well, and I know it's like a new toy because their game chat on Switch One was non-existent. It was pretty much like a hand-me-down, like third-party way of doing things. But I mean, I get it. They want to tout it. They want to bang their chest and be like, "Look what we did for you guys. We listened to you. We put one of your most requested features in there." But it's like, cool.
Yeah,
what
but
else?
I got to pay for it,
right?
Unlike Xbox and PlayStation that has Discord in there for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I got to now pay for another thing. And I know it's, Nintendo Online and everything, but it's like, and you have to get the camera. I'm wondering if they're, well, I'm just saying, I'm wondering if they're going to make it where it's proprietary, where you can't plug in like a webcam into it and use that if you have to use Nintendo's. Like, it's like, oh, we don't recognize this.
I think they said you could use third-party webcams. I think they confirmed that. Now, will that be for the long run? Who knows? But I do believe you don't have to use the camera. I think you can use because I remember kind of funny talking about it where if you already have a camera that's better than what they're offering, can you hook it up? And I believe that you could.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. Amy's like, just scared Derek. I'm like, yep, PTSD, the war flashbacks back to last week about him just deep, like gushing over GTA light physics or camera lighting.
Camera lighting, yeah. Okay, so apparently you will be able to test and see if your USB camera. So, okay, that makes me feel a little bit better because it's like if we are limiting that and it's I don't know. I feel like they're really pushing this. I will be interested to see the numbers of people adopting this instead of just using Discord on their phone or running it through like OBS or something like I do here and having Discord on their computer.
Right.
So well, Switch 2 is a little ways away, but we have something that's even further in the future. Hideo Kojima has an amazing idea for a forgetting game where the main character gradually forgets important information and abilities if he take too long of a break from playing.
So Hideo Kojima has unveiled a thought-provoking game concept on his Koji 10 podcast. Termed the forgetting game. In this idea, if players take extended breaks from the game, the protagonist would gradually lose vital information and abilities. For instance, the character might forget how to use weapons or even their profession. This mechanic aims to mirror the effects of time and memory loss, compelling players to engage with the game consistently. Kojima contemplated integrating this mechanic into Death Stranding 2 on the beach, but ultimately decided against it, citing potential challenges in player experience and commercial viability. While the concept remains theoretical, it underscores Kojima's ongoing interest in exploring innovative gameplay mechanics that challenge traditional player expectations. So, first off, the first thing that comes to mind when I looked at this was this has to have some like roguelite mechanics in here. Because I imagine like, oh, you forget this skill, but then it's like, all right, can I gain that same skill back, or will just another one pop up to take its place? How do you get, because I would hate to get an ability that I really love and really enjoy, because the other thing that came to mind was like, this is our kryptonite for you and me, Zach. Like, you're more consistent about playing games than I am. But also when work gets us both, there's nothing that can stop us. So it's like, how long of a grace period do we have, and how long will the game determine that? Because it almost feels like if you leave your game in sleep mode and it's connected to Wi-Fi constantly, like it would be more of a thing. Whereas if you shut it off, it's like, how will the game know? I don't know. Maybe it reads you. Maybe it like looks at your internal clock type deal, and it just does it even when the game's shut off, because that's our kryptonite. Because again, I haven't played anything for 2 weeks. If I was playing this because I've been busy with other things, imagine if I did that, like I'd probably be back to square one with my character. So this game would be our kryptonite, but it's also, like it says, it's a testament to Kojima, like his constant innovation and just like ideas for games. Like we know Kojima's the opposite of weird Nintendo decisions. We have weird Kojima decisions where the games, like you look at trailers and you understand nothing that is going on, but you want to play the game because you know it's going to be fun when you get it in your hands. And it's interesting that he was considering this with Death Stranding 2, but because of the way that game, like gameplay set up, like yes, there is combat, there is action, there is stealth, but also it's at the end of the day, it's a delivery simulator. So I'm appreciative that he didn't include that in this type of game, because I just don't think it would make sense. But it being its own original idea would be an intriguing game. I just wonder what the deep mechanic systems would be going forward, because there's got to be a lot of layers to this.
Yeah, there has to be systems in place. I'm sure AI will come up with something that, like, it is a very cool concept. When I was reading this story before, when I was putting together the explanation and everything, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I was talking to Amy about it, and she's like, this idea sounds cool. I'm curious if it would make games more addictive to play, though.
Yeah.
And I definitely could see that, where it's like, oh, I've got to play or my character will forget.
Yeah.
That there's like skill atrophy on that.
Right. And again, it goes back to, like, say you, not even a skill, but let's say the build that you have for your character, you really got it to a good point. And it's like, okay, I need to make sure I don't lose this, because I don't want to have to rebuild my character. Like it's pretty much perfectly balanced. I don't want to lose that ability.
Yeah, Nate's like, that would kill me. I take very long breaks from games.
Yeah.
My character would be an amnesia patient. Straight back to character creation. Straight to jail.
And I wonder, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Cormackle wouldn't know if that he liked skulls. Oh my gosh.
And again, I'd like to know how deep the systems would go, because let's say you're like halfway, and again, we don't even know what style of game it would be. We don't know if it's going to be like a mystery game, like a heavy combat type game, but let's just go with the combat aspect, right? Let's just say like you're deep, like halfway through the game or deeper, and you're facing tougher enemies, like you need the build. It's like, is there a way to counteract that? Where will you, like, let's say you take a month off or whatever, like you go on vacation, don't play a game for like a month, and you come back, will your character be from square one, or will it just have light abilities? That way you're not totally under-leveled for that area. Like these are questions I have. And it's crazy that, again, this is the effect that Hideo Kojima has. The game's not even an actual thing. It's just a concept he thought up.
Yeah.
And we're already like speculating what it could be, like the mechanics of it all, like the style of game. Like that's the Kojima effect.
The beauty of it all is that it could really get you, because I know every gamer has experienced this. They jump into the game and they're like, I don't know what's going on. Right. I don't know how to use my character. So this could be a way to combat that, where you have to, it's like, hey, like some message pops up. Hey, you've been gone for a while. You need to go see X person, and then you train up again. You learn everything. That sort of deal would be fine. Or depending on how punishing you want it to be. If From Software got a hold of this thing, my God, I can only imagine what kind of punishment they would do to a player. You know what I mean? But like, I know I have wanted for years, like the the last time on Dragon Ball Z or last
Yeah.
time on whatever game it is, and give you kind of a recap of everything that has been happening.
Right.
And then even like a little, hey, here's the tutorial, like real quick of all your, and then you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And then you can move on. I think this might be a way to do that, but also having like, because if you have a skill and you don't use it, you will have skill degradation over time.
Right.
So I love the idea. I just think we have to like have a system of getting us back to that point and having it where you can toggle it on and off, you know, where it's like, yeah, I don't want that. You know, only got so much time or whatever. I don't want to have to worry about if I pick this game up in 2 years, once I have a perfect character, I don't want to have to worry about it, you know? So that's I think it's really cool though.
Me too. It's definitely unique. I don't think it's, again, it screams roguelike to me, and we've had roguelike games, but in this concept, it's something that's not been done before. So the only thing that would be akin to it would be Sifu. Like the more you get, the more you get defeated in the game, the older you get, like your age increases. So I mean, your that's different.
Decreases because of
and you're like, your skills kind of go down. So yeah, that would be the closest thing it would be to this concept. But I mean, it's something that hasn't been done before to this extent.
Yeah, I love it, guys. And you know what? You love this show. So make sure to subscribe to the Nerd Cave News on podcast services of your choice and on YouTube. It helps us out a ton. It lets the algorithm gods know that you enjoy the show. And thank you everybody that comes and you know, part of this live each and every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. We thank you so much. And now for our third story of the night, Sony is considering price raises amid the $685 million impact on its businesses from tariffs, raising concerns about a PS5 price increase.
Sony is contemplating increasing the price of the PS5 in the US due to a projected $685 million loss from the US tariffs on Chinese imports, where many PS5 components are manufactured. While no official decision has been made, Sony CFO Lin Tao indicated that the company might pass on onto the price to manage the financial burden. In response to these challenges, Sony is also considering manufacturing PS5 consoles in the US to mitigate tariff effects, though this would require significant investment and time. Currently, Sony has a 3-month stockpile of PS5 units in the US to buffer against immediate impacts. Previously, Sony raised PS5 prices in regions like Europe and the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, citing economic challenges such as inflation and exchange rate fluctuations. The U.S. market has so far been exempt from these increases, but the ongoing tariff situation may change that. And let me just start by saying is like, yes, you know, a week after Xbox has said they're going to increase prices, you know, and we already talked about it. We already got ahead. It was only a matter of time. And this is just confirming that it's not an if, but a when situation for Sony. Again, the 3-month stockpile, like, yes, it's a 3-month stockpile. It gives them a little bit of a buffer to kind of figure out the exact pricing so they can still make money, but still to counteract the tariffs, but also still like make it affordable, like at least somewhat feasible to fans that still want to buy consoles. But at the same time, thinking about it, and if this was Jim Ryan, he would have already raised the prices by now. Maybe not. Who knows? But a 3-month buffer doesn't really necessarily mean that we get a 3-month break. Until then, they could easily raise the price next month.
My thing is, one, how many sales are actually happening of units?
Correct.
You know, so is that like taking that into consideration? 2, there are a lot of trade deals being made right now.
Right.
And go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, and thinking just that this idea popped in my head. If people are reading this and word of mouth gets around that it's like, oh, they may not raise it for another 3 months, people might just run out and go out to the local mom and pop shops and their brick and mortar stores and start buying them up before the prices increase. The same way with Xbox. And so that 3-month stockpile could dwindle down to a month and a half. You know what I mean? So because people are just, hoarding them because,
try to scalp them. Maybe
you literally took the words out of my mouth.
Yep.
I was like, this is going to be the second wave of scalpers because it's like, hey, get your like all of a sudden PS5 is going to be hard to come by until like they get more in, and it's like, hey, you want to get it before these tariffs, spend them now, even though it's going to be probably more than the tariffs are going to charge. But I digress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So
get tariffed by the scalpers.
exactly. So I think this is going to create a second wave of or a different wave of scalping. So that's also that. So again, the 3 months doesn't necessarily mean anything, because if more people are reading this, and word of mouth gets around, like, yes, like the typical like and this is not to be like ageist or anything, like the typical like Gen X parents who aren't really into video games, that just, their kids say, I want a PS5. Like, okay, cool. They might wait till holidays, but like our generation and lower might be like, hey, let's get a PS5 now before it gets way too like out of our price range.
Tax return, baby.
Exactly.
So this is going to be slightly political. Okay. Slightly political. So just put on your Pampers, and here we go. Let's pull up to this thing. So we just went into a deal with China, where we're going to be on a 90-day pause of tariffs, other than like 30% coming in, and then we're like 10% exports. So that to me is saying we're not going back to the crazy 150, 185 thing that both of like the peeing contest that we've been going on with them. Plus, a lot of the manufacturing is moving over to India, and Banzak, he's being political. Thanks, Dan. Plus, we also have a trade deal with India where they're bringing a lot of manufacturing from China over to India, which that is a whole can of worms in and of itself. I wonder if they're going to continue that now that we're having talks with China and everything. So for me, I think a lot of companies are unfortunately going to be a little shady here, and they're going to be like, oh, the tariffs.
Yeah, this is going to be the
COVID part 2.
I was going to say, it's just going to be the new buzzword, like crunch, layoffs, closures. This is going to be the new taboo word, is tariffs.
Well, the whole like, oh, because of COVID, the amount of this is like gone down.
The excuses for why stuff is the way it is.
And we saw Xbox already do this. I'm very surprised that Nintendo did not increase the Switch 2's price, but I'm glad they didn't. And I think but I think PlayStation's playing it a little bit smarter because of all the things that are like happening. Like if we would have kept on with our stance and not have made these deals, because we also made one with the UK this week or last week as well. So there's a lot of things politically going on that is forcing these things. Also, I know Amazon is going to start putting beside the like price of something, how much a tariff is impacting that piece of equipment or whatever you're buying. So you're going to know how much the tariffs are hitting that. But again, all of those numbers can be managed and everything. So I'm very curious where this goes in the future. It's been very kind of ambiguous of what the tariffs are actually going to do. Is it going to help? Is it going to bring people to the table and everything? And of course, we're seeing the impact on the gaming industry. That's why I'm bringing this political talk to a close here.
Keep my video games out of politics.
Yeah, I know. It's like eventually you're going to have to talk about it. But I think, we will see bad actors, of course, because people want to make more money and they're going to blame whatever they can. If something does cost more, it's going to happen, that's just how it is. But if we're just going to make stuff up as well, like if the tariffs like go down and prices come down and they're like, oh yeah, tariffs, is like, yeah, we don't have that anymore.
Exactly.
So
it's not been a thing for like 3 months now. Like, let it go.
So that's my thought on this. I think Sony is taking an interesting way of going about that, because Xbox was just like, let's do it.
Roll the punches.
And EA I know we talked about last week not raising prices on games for now. Got to give it to them. Got to give it to them over there. Derek, any other comments, thoughts that you have on this topic?
Hey, like I said a minute ago, if you don't want to be affected by this, like, yes, obviously, if your budget doesn't dictate for it, please don't push the envelope. Please don't put yourself into debt over a gaming console. But if you can afford one and you've been thinking about getting one, any console, Xbox, PlayStation, or you're saving up for the Switch too, get it now while it's at a feasible price, because once they go up, it's going to squeeze your wallet even tighter, because it's not just consoles. Games are going up, and that's I think the games are not, in my personal opinion, like, looking more at the landscape and taking it back. I don't think the games are necessarily impacted by the tariffs. I think that is just more of like the market is like resetting to what the games cost, type thing. So games are getting more expensive. Accessories are definitely going to be affected by tariffs. But yeah, get it now before everything gets way too much out of your budget.
Yeah, I agree. 1,000%. 1,000%. Let's talk about a little game called Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 4 gets images.
So Square Enix has finally pulled back the curtain on Kingdom Hearts 4, dropping fresh screenshots and promising an experience that lives up to fan expectations. The game showcases a bold visual overhaul, with Sora now exploring Quandratum, however you pronounce it, a hyper-realistic urban world that feels like a leap into next-gen territory. This new setting kicks off the Lost Master arc, marking a darker, more mature chapter in the series. While story details are scarce, the visuals hint at deeper lore, upgraded combat, and smoother, more dynamic exploration. Sora's movements look more fluid, and combat retains its signature action RPG flair with new twists. No release date yet, but Square Enix assures development is in full swing. For now, these screenshots give fans a taste of what's to come, and it's looking sharp. And obviously this is, it's something just popped up. It's sort of like a GTA 6. This is like the JRPG version of GTA 6, but not in the same realm of like it's capturing like millions and millions of fans. Like, yes, Kingdom Hearts is a fan base, but not on the same hype level as GTA in my humble opinion. But I have not played a Kingdom Hearts yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's weird because you forget this game's in development, and maybe it's just because like the third Kingdom Hearts 3, they haven't done, like, they did cancel a mobile version that I guess I didn't know was in the works. But they canceled a mobile game. And yes, maybe it's because that they did so many like interim games in between like the three major titles that it felt like we never got a break from Kingdom Hearts. But this feels like the biggest break we've gotten between 3 and 4. Now, yes, 3 had mixed reception. Like some fans loved it, some fans thought it went. And this is with anything that wraps up a trilogy, right? The ending is never going to be the ending some fans want it to be. There's always going to be things that people don't like. Obviously, that's, it's an acquired taste. It's your opinion. But it feels like they are not, it's not I don't want to say it's lackluster, but it feels like the hype for 4, and maybe they're taking a different approach because 3 took so long to make. They literally skipped a console generation before they put the third game out.
Yeah.
And yes, they did port the rest of the games like onto PS4 so people could get caught up on the story. But it feels like, yes, when Kingdom Hearts 1 it was just different, involved Disney with Japanese lore. Like it felt like Final Fantasy. Then 2, everyone loved. And then like the in-ring games, some loved them, some hate them. And then it was like this big build up to 3 that it felt like Final Fantasy 15, Last Guardian, like you name whatever games took like almost 10 years to get out in development. And it feels like they were talking about this constantly. It felt like for like 3 or 4 E3s in a row, they showed something Kingdom Hearts 3 related, right? And it was just a matter of when it was going to release. And now it's just like they announced 4 like a couple years ago. I felt like it was like 22 or 23 is when they first unveiled Kingdom Hearts 4. Maybe it was sooner than that or later than that. But and then it feels like nothing up until this week they've talked about Kingdom Hearts 4. Now maybe they're taking a different approach. Maybe it's because this is a start of a new, like they said, a new arc compared to the first 3 3 major titles were the first story, and they're continuing, because I don't think anyone expected them to continue it. This is like an anime. it feels like at this point, talking about like the Lost Master arc. I don't know. It's just different. It feels different. They're taking a different approach, maybe for the better, with like keeping like so fans don't get fatigued on seeing Kingdom Hearts all the time and being like, all right, when is it? Just give it to me. Type thing.
Yeah, it was in 2022, April 10th, 2022, which was the 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts when they announced 4.
See, if I say this sometimes my mind's like a steel trap.
See, Derek knows the dates. Like Derek is really good with dates, y'all. If y'all don't know that, and stats. He's just great at that. All right. I'll give Derek that. But betting, not good at it. He's not good at it
which
at
is
all.
why I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I wish he would. I wish he would. For me, it's like, okay, it's 2025 now. That's 3 years of development. Who knows how long it's been cooking since then?
Correct. Because Kingdom Hearts 3 released what? 2020, 2021? Maybe maybe not even that. Hold on. I'll have an answer for you. Maybe 2019, actually.
2019, January 25th, 2019.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I think it is, if any Digimon fans are out there, here we go. All right. You ready for this? Yeah. This feels like when we went from being in the Digimon world to being into the real world.
Yeah.
You know, there was like, you had the first set of kids and you had the second set, and then they came to the real world. And that's when everything kind of felt weird about Digimon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like this might be that, where maybe we get into more Final Fantasy. I don't know. But this thing is complex. All right. Yeah. I'm going to just be honest with you. Final Fantasy makes as much sense as
Metal Gear. In my opinion, like trying to find the time, because, and here's the thing, like, yes, the Metal Gear story is technically, if you look at like the timeline of it, it's told out of sequence, but it's still like trying to piece together. It's still like a headache. Kingdom Hearts is also a headache, but but you know, because they have the 3 major titles, but then like some stuff goes before that, like the interim games, like go sometimes before certain games or in the middle of certain aspects, but it's all canon. And that's what's even more confusing, because then it's like, people think, okay, I got the lore figured out, and then they put out a new game that kind of flips it on its head, and it's like, well, I don't understand anything anymore.
Yeah, it's like 34 and a half scoops of ice cream and day drop distance, and you know, the canoe that had a hole in it, and boy that cried wolf, part 75 -3
over 8 days.
Yeah, over 8 days, you know. Like, we're just over here just bashing Square Enix and everything at this point, just because of their weird naming habits. But when you really come down to it, it's like people that love this really love it. And from my experience, I loved 1 and 2. I couldn't beat Ursula on the first Kingdom Hearts. Tried everything in my power to. So I just skipped to 2. 2 was amazing. I played 3, got terrorized in the Toy Story world, because the only song that they had in the whole flipping level, and it was like hours long, is "You Got a Friend in Me."
Wow.
You got a friend in me, or a like instrumental version of "You Got a Friend in Me."
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I was enjoying it pretty well. You know, I think people are going to be really excited for this. I do want to see where this goes. Do we still get Donald and Goofy running around with Sora? Are we going, like, you know, we're still having the Keyblades, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is my trigger song for sure. And I agree, Nate. 1 and 2, epic. And I think 3, why people don't like 3 is because it took so long to come out.
Yeah, it was the years of seeing it at E3s and other demos, and you know, them just hyping it up and people getting it over anticipated for it, and then it just kind of came out to, you know, and it was just like, it was just, again, it reviewed pretty well, but it just to a lot of fans who were waiting for it for so long, just came out to a dull roar.
Well, you think about it. 3 came out in 2019. 1 came out in 2000, or 2 came out in 2005. That's 14 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time to like let it like build, and like you're expecting all of these things. So yeah, Dan is our resident like hardcore fan. He said now that they canceled Missing Link, they're going to have to dismantle that part of the narrative in a different format. I'm going to believe anything you tell me right now, Dan, because I don't know the story other than there's Heartless, there's Hollow People, there's a dude named the Doctor, but we don't know what his last name is. They say Doctor Who. There's Gamorrean soldiers that look like pigs. And then this key can turn into different shapes, and you go Super Saiyan, or you turn into a Sailor Moon. You have a talking mouse that's a king, and then you got like 3 different versions of the same character. You got the real version, you got the Heartless Hollow dude, then you've got his brother named George. I don't know what's going on here, but the games look pretty, and
so what
the
you're saying
music is really good.
Sora is Ichigo, is what you're saying.
Sure.
Oh yeah, you haven't watched Bleach. I'm sorry.
I haven't
watched Bleach in a long time either, but like beginning to end. But I do remember at least certain parts of it.
Yeah. Nate, I thought Missing Link was Legend of Zelda. Nate over here.
That is a missed opportunity if I ever did see one for a Zelda title. Legend of Zelda: The Missing Link.
That's what they should have named Echoes of Wisdom.
Good point. So
you messed up. AA Ron. Messed up. And guys, you're messing up because you aren't going over to patreon.com right now and supporting us, because it's time for the Patreon quick hits, and they're brought to you by our wonderful patrons. So go over and support the Nerd Cave by getting your very own Nerd Cave membership to help us continue to make awesome shows just like this one. Become part of the ship, part of the crew at patreon.com/nerdcave, and pick the tier that fits best for you. Because guys, this is a 1.5 person business. There's one person that does a lot of the work. Another one, he puts together a doc, and then he's like, done it, boss. And then he comes on here like he can win something. He can win any bet, but he never takes a bet anymore. He's a little scared. He's a little scaredy boy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
A little scaredy boy. Yeah. Some would say he's heartless.
Oh, why you gotta be so heartless?
Well, that's the enemies in
I know, I get that, but also I'm making the song reference, you troglodyte.
Okay, Kanye. Guys, it's time for the Patreon quick hits.
Anyway, starting off, PlayStation's active console base estimated at 10 million higher than Xbox's by the end of 2024, according to a report. Sony is reportedly working on PSSR 2 to improve 4K 120 FPS locked and offer support for other resolutions. Digital Foundry predicts PS6 to have at least 24 gigabytes of RAM to accommodate new machine learning features. Bam Margera officially confirmed for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 as Secret Skater. Hideki Kamiya is interested in remaking Devil May Cry and Beautiful Joe. Forza Horizon 5 has reportedly moved 1.4 million copies on PS5 so far.
Let's go.
Water Park Simulator announced for PC. Overwatch 2 is getting a Street Fighter 6 crossover event. Dead by Daylight is finally getting a Five Nights at Freddy's killer, and he's voiced by Matthew Lillard. Nintendo revises user agreement, and if you break it, Nintendo reserves the right to brick your Switch. Following that, Nintendo president concerned about potential impact on tariffs on the Switch 2 demand, saying if prices of daily necessities like food increase, then people will have less money to spend on consoles. Isabella Merced says The Last of Us Season 3 should begin production next year. Tony Hawk is pushing for a Tony Hawk's Underground remaster, saying, quote, I'll campaign all I can. Following that, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is making major changes to its mission structure. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered performance degrades over time. Digital Foundry calls for an emergency patch. Sony China acquires the remaining 51% stake in Oriental Pearl, now fully controls PlayStation hardware distribution in Chinese market. As the move to $80 games kicks in, gamers point to Mafia the Old Country and Clair Obscur and hope the $50 trend succeeds. Sony Santa Monica continues hiring spree for unannounced project with multiple positions now available. Rumor, a GTA 4 remaster could launch this year. FBC Firebreak closed technical test kicks off today with crossplay support. And following that, Firebreak won't feature the old gods of Asgard, which is the metal group that they've been using in previous Remedy games like Alan Wake 2 and so on. Max Payne 3 remaster could happen if Rockstar is still following their plan from the pandemic days, says an insider. Rumor, Horizon 3 targeting 2027 launch, potentially a PS5 and PS6 cross-gen release. It's crazy that we're not only talking about the Horizon 3 being in a couple years, but the PS6 being on the horizon as well. Stellar Blade PC set for June 11th release alongside Complete Edition for PS5. Pal World modders are restoring mechanics Pocket Pair was forced to patch out due to Nintendo and the Pokemon Company's potential lawsuit. Some fans think Liberty City is a secret location in GTA 6. Nintendo Switch 2's Joy-Con mouse controls can be used to navigate the home menu. Fallout TV series renewed for third season ahead of season 2 premiere this December. Maximus actor says Fallout TV show has a season 5 or season 6 type of endpoint. Tekken's Katsuhiro Harada has been trying to get a Waffle House stage collab off the ground. GTA 6 May 2026 release date could be delayed, says Jason Schreier. Gee, didn't I mention that last week? Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra release date has been delayed to early next year. Sony announces PS5 shipments have hit 77.8 million worldwide. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre dev confirms no new content or support is being planned. Square Enix reassures fans it's hard at work on Kingdom Hearts 4 following Kingdom Hearts Missing Link cancellation. Assassin's Creed Netflix live-action series writing team includes award-winning novelist Emily St. John Mandel. Infinity Ward vet says Call of Duty is like The Simpsons in that it feels like it's running out of ideas at times. Stalker Legends of the Zone Trilogy Enhanced Edition is the next-gen upgrade fans have been waiting for. Hogwarts Legacy Switch 1 players can upgrade for $10 to get better graphics and no loading screens on the Switch 2. Dragon Quest XII creator Yuji Horii can't say anything specific, but wants you to know he's putting lots of work into the secretive sequel. Iron Man from EA Motive to feature major single-player levels, according to new job listing. Microsoft cuts 3% of its workforce, affecting thousands of staff. Ubisoft confirms Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake to launch by April of next year. We'll believe it when we see it. Excuse me. Assassin's Creed Shadows records the series' second highest day one sales revenue. EA CEO confirms push to return to office as it phases out remote working. Rumor, Sony is working on a new handheld that will launch alongside the PS6. New Battlefield campaign takes inspiration from Civil War and Dead Space. The Pokemon Fossil Museum is bringing real and fake Pokemon fossils to the US next year. Valve confirms no Steam user data was compromised in hack. And lastly, and a weird one, but it's Ubisoft. A Riders Republic film is in the works from Bad Boys for Life director duo.
So what's interesting is like there's a few in here that I might want to hit, but the PS6 only having like 24 gigs of RAM. That's not a lot when you really think about. Like the base RAM of a Mac is 16 these days.
Yeah.
The Mac that I use every day,
48.
128 gigs, baby.
Holy
128. Cow. Yeah, the best chip in that bad boy. So I know what power is, Derek, and that doesn't sound very powerful to me. No. But you know, that's
power.
I hope that they put a little bit more in there, especially with the PSSR 2. It's interesting that they're already pushing to have that in there.
Correct.
Is like making a new one and everything. I'm trying to see. What about Sony Santa Monica hiring more people? Do you think that they are ramping up for our next God of War, or do you think it's something else?
I mean, obviously, the fan in me wants it to be the next God of War,
Mm-hmm.
but just like with Naughty Dog, I think after Last of Us Part Two, I think they they wanted to take a break and go to a new property like Intergalactic. I think Sony Santa Monica, I think wants to. They told the duology, and it's like both versions were nominated for Game of the Year. One of them won Game of the Year, so I think it's like cool. And we just had Valhalla, very successful DLC,
Mm-hmm.
kind of turn the roguelike genre on its head just a tad bit in terms of at least storytelling. Um, let's take a slight break. And again, a lot of these PlayStation studios are ramping up hiring so they can split the teams to get more games out. So that way there's not such long gaps in yes, we talked about Microsoft. Like they went so long at the beginning of this console generation, just like PS4 did, without games, and now all of a sudden they're just starting to tumble like a snowball effect, just come out one after the other. Especially in Microsoft's case, where there's one every like month or two. But I think PlayStation, like other game devs, were like, "Hey, let's get more games from these studios out," because I think Outer Worlds 2 did get delayed to next year, but like the push for Obsidian to get out both Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 in the same year, I think was too
Kind of
taxing.
crazy.
Right. And I think PlayStation wants like not like every year be like, all right, Santa Monica, Gorilla, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, Insomniac. Like I don't think they have that strategy, but I do think they don't want to have such a big gap or like have such like so many release around the same time frame. So they could do both. Who knows? It could be. I think they're ramping up for a new IP with this job listing, but it could also be God of War. Who knows?
I just looked it up. It looks like they have not moved Outer Worlds to.
No, it was Fable. I'm sorry, it's Fable.
Okay, yeah, we're apparently getting a direct on June 8th, which would be during Summer Games Fest.
Yeah. So
So
we'll see. That may be their big fall game.
Yeah, which will be interesting. And then last thing, I want to pick your brain here, Derek. Do you think the rumored new handheld by Sony launching with the PS6 is a good idea?
No, because I feel like it'll cannibalize it. Plus, it's like, all right, I'm of two minds of this. I don't think it's a good idea to launch it at the same time, but
Agreed.
also they see what the Switch has done, and yes, the Switch is a hybrid. It's a different thing. And that's another idea. What if it's like a hybrid thing? Like, what if it's like, like it's a separate console, but also can work with your PS6? I know they kind of had remote play integrated with the PS4, but that's to me, it almost is a separate entity.
Yeah, the Portal is done pretty well.
Exactly. So I feel like it is a bad idea to relaunch it at the same time. Like I feel like if they relaunched it I feel like if they launched a handheld ahead of the PS6 and then like say, oh, we can integrate with it, that would be a better move. But also, I think because of how the Switch is doing and Microsoft getting into the handheld market, I feel like Sony's like, hey, we were kind of like, yes, Nintendo was the first one to do it, but like we were doing handhelds a while back too. Let's see if people are clamoring for handhelds again. Let's see if we can capture that lightning in the bottle again.
Yeah, because when you think about the PSP and the Vita when they came out, they were both more powerful than Nintendo's products.
Correct.
At that time.
And PSP succeeded because it had games. Vita, they stopped supporting it.
They stopped supporting that. They just kind of cut it off, at the knees. And of course, he just dragged it as long as he possibly could with indie support and everything. God bless you, Gio. But I think with this, it's like they see the success of the Switch, they see the success of Steam Deck, and now Microsoft is, partnering with third parties to create their own because they don't want to go full bore into this yet.
Correct.
I don't think I agree with you. Don't release it at the same time. Like if you release something that is not the most powerful thing, people are going to go to the PS6 before they get this handheld.
Right.
And for me, I feel like if you release it after, it has to be I don't know. This is a weird situation because now we have the Portal. Is this going to be the Portal version 2 where it can actually play games on its own? Because, dude, the Portal looks sweet. That OLED display looks great. I know, like, the battery life is a little but dude, if they had something where you don't have to be constantly on the internet, it would be dope. But it's like I can get a Steam Deck and do a lot of these things, the same things. That was the whole reason I was like, if I get this Portal, I'm tied to my PlayStation. We love Sony.
Yeah.
Sony ponies for life. You know what I mean? But but the Steam Deck just gave me more options.
Yes.
You know?
And also thinking about this too, it's like, because we kind of alluded to it a minute ago. Yes, Xbox is kind of like not wanting to go full bore and commit to it, but Sony has a track record of like since the Vita and PSVR 1 and 2, they just stopped supporting it at a certain point. So that's another reason why I'm hesitant about them getting back into the handheld market. It's like, yes, the Portal has been a success, but that's not really its own entity. It's more of like just an additive to the PS5 in a sense. And my thing is just like, okay, cool, you're getting back into the handheld market. If you're going to make separate its own SKU of games for it, are you going to support it again? Because yes, you got into the VR market. I know the VR market's been very flimsy, like it's been more niche, like than handhelds have been. I get it. So I get why Sony wanted to at least test the waters. But again, you have a track record from Vita, like the last 3, we'll call it side projects, like side consoles that you've had, even though you have to have a PS4, PS5 for the VRs, but that I digress. And all of a sudden you launch it, you promise the world, you promise, oh, we're going to put games and games and games. And then after about the first couple years, nothing, crickets.
Yep.
And then you just, the Vita, maybe not so much, but like the PSVR 1 and 2, you spend $400 or $500 on this new piece of tech. And now now it's just sitting there collecting dust because you have no reason to plug it in and play it. So is this going to be another track record of Sony being like, hey, new handheld, like here's the games for it. We got all our studios committed to making games. And then 2 years later, it's a brick.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, any consumer needs to think about at this point is what is the long term. Does it have legs to this thing? Are we actually going to get support from first party long term, or is it going to be another piece of hardware that just kind of sits there? With the Vita, I will say that we did get 2 iterations of it, which was nice. We got the original, which is the best because you do have the OLED, but then they every time a console comes out, they're going to find a way to make it cheaper to manufacture. So in the PSP, I think the reason why it lasted so long was the modding and the jailbreaking side of things.
And please, for the love of God, if y'all do memory cards again, do it right. Don't make it like the size of your, first of all, don't make it the size of your fingernail where it can be easily lost or like, stepped on, whatever. And also don't make them so flippin' expensive and allow third-party options to get in there and make cheaper options, even if you do.
Yeah, the proprietary, and I'm worried that's what Nintendo's about to do with the Switch 2 is make them proprietary. Like I understand having something that's faster to be able to read these games and everything, but don't make the mistake that the Vita like that was the shot in the kneecap for sure, was that proprietary part of it and everything. So there you go, guys. That is this episode. We've went from Nintendo all the way to tariffs. We've talked about it all. We talked about handhelds. We've done it, all that good stuff. Guys, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments. We'll be back next week. We're going to be chatting more about this. And of course, we'll be live on Tuesday. It's going to be a great time, guys. This has been Zach
and Derek.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.